New York.
Hey, Cliff. Apparently, we had no audio. We have audio now. So you can repeat whatever you want to repeat because nobody heard nothing.
Ah. Well, I'm just going to press on. Well, actually, this ties in. I had in 1521 Pope Leo excommunicated Martin Luther. In 1962, Pope John the 23rd excommunicated Fidel Castro. In 2020, on this day, Iranian General Qasem Soleimani was killed by an American drone strike near Baghdad International Airport, igniting global concerns of a potential armed conflict. Didn't they know there was an armed conflict going on? Oh, well. In 1840, Father Damien, Franciscan priest, missionary to the lepers out in Hawaii, was born. He died in 1889.
Cliff, if we got a teleprompter, would you read from the teleprompter?
Sure.
I'm going to apply for a federal grant to get some new equipment. A teleprompter would be a nice idea.
In 1909, Victor Borge was born, Danish-American pianist, conductor. In 2003, we had two births. Kyle Rittenhouse, who Wikipedia calls American conservative personality. He's the guy that shot and killed someone during some riots because he thought his life was threatened. And Greta Thunberg, Swedish environmental activist, who would destroy the economy to save the world. And today, in 1967, Jack Ruby died. Remember Jack Ruby?
Oh, yeah, he's the guy who shot...
Yeah.
The guy who shot Kennedy.
Exactly.
Lee Harvey Oswald.
Lee Harvey Oswald. So, John, before Eileen gets here, are you a notary public?
Yes.
What's it take to become a notary public? Do you have to go to school?
Actually, I've been a notary public since Eddie LaLasha was a state rep. That's a long time. I think he's the state rep that made me a notary. Yeah, my father was a notary public, and then my father said, you should become a notary public. And I said, how do you do that? He said, you call Eddie LaLasha. So, Eddie LaLasha. Or it might have been Dan Leahy. I don't know. One of them. But you got to know
I'm betting Eddie LaLasher.
Well, is it chilly out there?
It's freezing. All your barrels fell over too.
I hope they're empty.
They are.
Okay, well, welcome. Happy New Year.
That's the producer talking off
our-
camera to the co-host,
To the princess of the show.
who was dealing with the wind problems.
Hey,
Okay, so you did Eddie send you to school for a day?
check this out. Isn't that nice? I don't know what kind of donut it is, but
Red velvet.
it's a red velvet donut. Thank you, Eileen.
We get to start the new year off in class.
No, I got sworn in. The first time I had to go down to Boston at the Leverett Salt and Stall building in Boston. I had to go down there to get sworn in. And I thought it was going to be a big deal. Went up in the elevator. Oh, notary, sit over there. They called us all over, and I think there was 3 people getting notarized at the same time. And no big deal.
Did you have to have a bond? Do you have to have a bond?
I have insurance, if that's what you mean.
Yeah.
Well, are you considering becoming a notary?
No, but I know someone who is.
Okay, well, tell them to be in touch with Vanna Howard, if they're a Belvederian.
Okay.
Though they could be in touch with Rodney Elliott if they're over in Pawtucketville. Up to Highlands, Tara Hunt.
Who just got sworn in yesterday.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
excited guy.
I'm
Pretty
excited.
happy.
Yeah. So, we have Hanukkah Gelt here for, Hanukkah ended at sunset last night, and we have Hanukkah Gelt here for Anthony. Unless his mother steals it from him.
Potentially. Good morning, everybody.
Yeah.
He was asking what Hanukkah is, and I think he was rationing in his mind when I told him, well, it's 12 days of Christmas that the Jewish culture celebrates. I think he was going back and forth in his head like, would that be better than all at once Christmas?
The real meaning of Hanukkah is freedom. Because it's the culmination of the Maccabean revolt against the Greeks.
It's just an excuse to
religious-
celebrate Christmas time. That's all it is.
Yeah.
So they were celebrating Christmas
how popular was
hundreds
Hanukkah?
of years before Christ?
How popular was Hanukkah before Christ came along?
Only the Jews celebrated it.
Aha. Okay.
And of course, the Chinese weren't yet happy about it.
I know certain people who have for each of the 12 nights, they have even specific dinners.
Ah,
They have what?
Like certain types of dinners on each of the 12 Hanukkah nights.
Nice.
1, 2, 3, 4. I don't think it's 12.
11 nights, 12 days, like a vacation.
8.
Hey Siri, how many days are in Hanukkah?
It's 345 days until then.
Not until then.
And Hanukkah's about the miracle of the oil, right? The nace. It's all about the nace.
So you say.
It's
You got some Jewish. Tell the audience of your Jewish background.
I'm about 2% Jewish.
Me too. My DNA, ancestry DNA. Eight nights of Hanukkah. I don't know why I thought 12.
Because there's 12 days of Christmas waiting for the wise men to arrive.
Okay, I'm sorry.
And
It's
during
okay.
Hanukkah, the children get practical gifts like underwear and socks.
I like that.
And
So-
if they're a commingled family, they have a Catholic dad and a Jewish mother, they like Christmas because they get toys on Christmas.
Oh, yes.
Hanukkah doesn't give toys. I have a friend of mine who's has his wife's Catholic and he's Jewish, and the kids love Christmas.
Yeah, so the kids aren't Jewish.
They're half Jewish.
To be Jewish, you have to have a Jewish mother.
He is not very
Is your-
close to his faith, nor is his wife, but they celebrate the holiday of Hanukkah and Christmas. And the
That's-
reason they do Hanukkah is to make his mother happy. That's why they do Hanukkah. Keep grandma happy.
The funniest line in the series Signed, Sealed, and Delivered on Hallmark Channel is they're getting married. The Lost Letter guy and his assistant are getting married. And the mother of the bride is interfering. And she wants a big canopy for the wedding. And so the bride says to the mother, well, why would we have a canopy? We're not Jewish. And the mother says, how is that my fault?
That's funny. Now, is your mother Jewish on your side?
No.
Your father?
No.
Then how'd you get 2% Jewish? Was it the mailman? Let's
His
talk
mother
about
told
it.
him, he's doing like Elizabeth Warren, his mother told him.
No, I went the same way as Eileen.
No, but I have a story along
you
with
have
Wait a minute, we
story?
got the audience chiming about donuts. I bought a half dozen donuts yesterday, and he spelled donuts wrong, from Dunkin'. delicious. Look, I'll meet you over to Top Donut any day, and I'll compare your Dunkin's to Top Donut. And the donut shack as well. Donna's Donuts.
Kim's Donuts, the warm donuts.
Yep. Isn't that Donna's? No, the Donna's Donuts out in Tewksbury.
Yeah, on
Kim's
the
is
Wilmington line.
delicious donuts all over.
But
Dunkin's, not so much.
I do feel like Dunkin's has been stepping their game up a bit.
It's their last name, and they're not
Donuts.
so good.
Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying.
Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah, well, I think it's appropriate. They no longer have Bavarians. I'm not happy about that.
Well, you can get them at Kim's. Have you been to Donna's out in Tewksbury?
No.
If you want to have a secret meeting where nobody knows you, you can go out to Donna's Donuts, and Mark Crapman will pop in on you while you're there, but other than that, you won't know a soul.
I can go to the Al Diner and nobody knows me. Tell me about your Jewish story.
So we were always told when we were younger how my mother's family, their last name was originally Marx, but during World War II, and the height and the rise and the height of the Hitler regime, they were so afraid that they ended up changing their last name to from Marx to West, so that they wouldn't be identified as Jewish people in this country or when they were traveling. So when I did Ancestry DNA, I was not surprised to find out maybe I am 4% and my mother's a little more, actually. I'll pull up my Ancestry DNA.
My backstory is my great-grandmother was a foundling.
A foundling? What is-
Yep.
A what?
Foundling.
Okay,
Not
well, for the rest of the audience who doesn't know what I don't know what a foundling is, let me go around the room. Eileen, you're a pretty bright bulb. What's a foundling?
No clue.
Okay. So, Cliff, before you move on, would you please tell the audience what do you mean when you use, I'm going to read the text. Yes, comrade, any donut is a good way to start the day. Thank you. Yeah, donuts are good. They're not healthy, but they're good. What is a foundling, Cliff?
Foundling? It's an abandoned child.
Wow, like at the firehouse. You just leave the kid out front?
Yeah, like at the
A
firehouse.
baby safe haven?
This was before there were baby safe havens.
They were called foundlings.
What can I say? Ask Siri what she thinks.
Hey Siri, what's a foundling? Child abandonment is the practice of relinquishing interest and claims over one's offspring in an illegal way. Baby safe havens are legal, with the intent of giving it good guardianship.
Oh, the game's on.
All right.
The game's on. Look at this. Still drag this guy up a little bit. Market Basket has bigger donuts and more filling.
I agree.
So the
Sometimes
game is on. So Eileen, is this a Market Basket donut I have here?
no, that's a top donut, red
Top
velvet.
donut. Top donut, red velvet donut, okay.
Yeah.
So what'd you do for New Year's Eve?
We went down to the Cape.
Oh.
We went to Hyannis. Yeah, my friend's parents have a place down there. So it was nice. We went to the 99 in the afternoon. We picked up Chinese food on the way home, and then we had Chinese food. Just had kind of a chill night, but it was nice.
What'd you do, Cliff?
We watched The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance from 8 to 11. Then we,
What venue did you watch that?
TV.
It was on regular TV?
Yeah.
Okay.
And yourself, John?
I celebrated with the Western Europeans, and at 7 p.m.
Ah.
And then I woke up at 11:45, to visit the bathroom, like many of us do. And I said, I'm going to watch them drop the ball. Turn the TV on. 15 minutes of commercials. 2 minutes of midnight, they come back. Yeah, Happy New Year! After I watch 12 minutes of commercials. Thank you, Ivory Soap.
And Ivory Soap says you're welcome. So, the flag is at half-staff. Massachusetts Governor Maura Healey ordered the U.S. and Commonwealth flags to be lowered beginning 29 December until 28 January in honor of the life and legacy of former President Jimmy Carter.
He's a good guy.
Yeah.
How do you mean that?
Jimmy Carter was a good guy. End of story.
Did you vote for him twice?
I can tell you that my colleagues at work had to Google him because they didn't know who he was. Makes you feel old. Yes, I voted for Jimmy Carter. I don't remember the second time, but I know we voted. Had a lot of faith in the guy. Went to his farm in Plains, Georgia, back in like '76.
Oh.
I think it was '76 because we had a new car. It was a '75 Chevy, so it was that winter, so '76. Might have been early '70. We might have bought it in '74. Maybe it was a '74. We were driving in 1975. But yeah, '74, '75, '76. We were down in Plains, Georgia. Went to the little gas station down there. Was cool.
Okay. Eileen, do you remember Jimmy Carter?
I think that he was president before I was born, or right after I was born. What years?
77 to 81.
Yep, before and a year after I was born. So I don't remember him as president. I do remember he was a pretty great president who got us through a lot was it after the Watergate scandal?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm not a crook. Dick Nixon, that's what he said. I'm not a crook.
Yeah. Not any more than anybody else. But then we ended up with the Iran hostage crisis.
Yes.
That wasn't too good. So moving on to today, we had the pickup truck incident in New Orleans, which the FBI has decided, yes, that was terrorism.
So horrible.
Yeah. What, 14 dead?
15 from what I read yesterday.
Oh, okay.
The total was 15.
And I thought it was Molly Hemingway made a comment. Aisha Hosni on Fox News had said, sources tell Fox the FBI had zero intel on Jabber before the New Orleans attack. So Molly Hemingway writes, usually the scandal is the FBI has the terrorist on its radar and didn't prevent attack. In this case, scandal is the FBI didn't have the guy who publicly joined ISIS on its radar because it was too busy raiding Mar-a-Lago and going after parents and pro-lifers.
Well, he was a part of the military, as was the Las Vegas terrorist,
Yeah.
correct? And so there's a lot of parallels that, that could add up, that we weren't paying attention to where we really should have been paying attention.
Yeah, I think they're still working on, are there any ties? They were both stationed at Fort Bragg, which is today Fort Liberty. At the same time, they were both in Afghanistan.
And Green Berets at
No, the Las Vegas guy was a Green Beret. This guy was a IT kind of guy.
IT, but still in the Army, right?
Yes.
But the Green Berets do have more understanding of what it's like to put together explosives,
Yes.
from what I understand.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just so sad. And both used a Tesla vehicle, Elon Musk, and in front of the Trump Tower in Vegas.
Yep.
So once again, the government failed the people of this country. Jay, thank you. Nobody's going to get fired.
This morning, driving in, I heard on the radio that the guy in Las Vegas was a new father.
Yeah, they said, I was watching the LV cops on YouTube last night, and they said they were able to see a lot more footage because of what their positions as police officers, and they were saying that this guy seemed really conflicted, like he drove into the Trump Towers once and drove out, and then he was on the phone for a little bit and then drove back, and he actually shot himself
Yes.
in the head before. So what they were saying, that he must have hit the explosive button, shot himself, and then the explosives went off.
It's very sad. So I think a lot of people are just looking to see if there's a connection, because same day,
Yeah, there is.
Yeah, I would have to say there definitely is. And I'm not too sure on the New Orleans terrorist. What was his name?
Jabber,
Jabber, and he was from where?
Texas.
Texas originally. In the Army too.
Yes. So, John, what is the connection?
They're connected. I'll use NCIS Gibbs. There's no such thing as a coincidence as my evidence. Who will be fired for the misstep in the government? Nobody. We'll give them a pension.
I'm sorry,
Nobody's going to get fired.
William Gray is being fired, the head of the FBI.
He's being fired over this?
Well, this is just part of the collection of information. And
Over
it
this?
turns out the FBI...
Just a second.
Wait, I'm
I-
not done.
Well, I don't know who William Dreyer is.
Gray, the head of the FBI.
So,
And the FBI DEI office is all upset because he's being replaced by a person of color.
how is it possible that the Vegas bomber gets burned beyond recognition, but the IDs survived the fire? No such thing as a coincidence. They're related, Cliff.
I think that's a good question. I don't know how that happened.
That,
He had his passport, too.
yeah, how they didn't get burned.
Well, I can tell you from experience.
Tell me.
If it was insulated from the fire, like in the glove compartment, or he was sitting on it, it'd be very readable. A lot of times, that's how we get ID from people, because they're sitting on their identification and it's survives the fire. Sorry to be so gruesome about it, but
John, can you do a split screen and bring up JABA information on the JABA, the New Orleans terrorist, and then split the screen and then bring it up from the Vegas one? Or can I come over and do that?
sure. You wanna, come on.
Oh, put that in your purse.
Oh, yes, on my way over, I will.
So, while they're going along, the Boston Globe had a headline Jewish communities in Massachusetts concerned as anti-Semitic hate crimes increase for a third straight year. Oh, John, come on over.
No, she got to work on it.
So, anti-Semitic hate crimes reached an 8-year high in Massachusetts in 2023 with harassment and vandalism, leaving Jewish communities rattled and anxious. And the Executive Office of Public Safety and Security identified a 70% increase in incidents from 2022 to 2023, which is not very good. There were also hate crimes reported against Arabs, many of whom are Muslim. Not as common as anti-Semitism, but they too became more common in 2023, mostly tripling to 20 reported incidents. So in Massachusetts, we have 318,000 Jews, and we have 131 Muslims. We're the 10th highest in the country. So,
How many Catholics were here?
let's see, it's Father Sinella, Martha, me, Eileen's aunt, I don't know, a million?
So what do these numbers mean?
Okay, what do the numbers mean?
Yeah.
You've got 3 times as many Jews as you do Muslims, but the proportion of hate crimes is higher than that 3-to-1 ratio. And I would say that with 131,000 Muslims, 20 reported incidences is too high, but yet it doesn't show an epidemic.
Cliff, I
That's
have
me.
some crazy friends. Most of them are sane, like yourself, but I have some crazy friends, and I would not be a bit surprised if they pulled off the same stunt. The United States, like most of the world, continues to ignore mental illness. It continues to let lying be okay. And nobody in government gets fired no matter how lousy they do their job. Those 3 ingredients had a collision New Year's Eve or New Year's Day in New Orleans. And they also had a collision out in Las Vegas. I think that was New Year's Day that he blew up his truck. And as long as, you can't get fired no matter how bad you do your job, because we're going to give you a pension and everything. You can't get fired. The CIA knew about this guy. The computer in Australia is listening to all his phone calls, reading all his texts, reading all of his emails. So you have one government agency that knows everything that doesn't tell anybody else. Nobody gets fired. We're paying bazillion dollars for technology, satellite technology, all these computers that listen to our telephone calls. And to say the government doesn't know, a lie. You can't get fired for lying either. So that's where America's at right now. I hope that the next administration can turn this around, but I doubt that they will. Lying's always going to be okay. Over to you, Cliff.
Okay, so there's a report out on religious persecution being on the rise around the world, with Christians being the #1 target. It says in many authoritarian states, Christianity is seen as a proxy for Western influence and values, which regimes often reject as imperialistic or destabilizing. Fox News Digital was told Christianity and other faiths emphasize allegiance to a higher moral authority, which inherently challenges authoritarian regimes that demand complete loyalty to the state.
Hey, did you see this?
Yeah,
I put that there for you.
Yes. So that relates to what we're talking about?
I'm sick of what we're talking about. This here,
Yes.
slide this out. At a parade in Tewksbury, the Republican committee passes out these cards to people on the parade route. I thought it was very clever.
Yeah.
So I want to, are you all ready, kiddo? Okay. Well, stay there, you got to tell me what you did.
So while they're playing around, I thought I'd bring up Britain's grooming gang scandal. It's been going on for decades. Little girls being groomed by immigrants and then sexually abused.
So you want both of these?
Yeah, like
This was,
and they're both
went
ABC
public
reports.
in the town of Rotherham with its
Frame 'em up to fit here.
decaying steel mills and beautiful medieval chapel that,
They have to fit the size of it.
but the police covered it up. And the victims who spoke to the press reveal how they'd been horribly abused, the most horrific torture and sexual depravity.
Visual perception.
And the Rotherham Council and the South Yorkshire Police had just ignored the whole thing. In fact, parents
So when I put it up,
who attempted to
It'll look
free
like
their
this.
children
Oh, you can see it.
were
no, that's going up.
arrested by the police. Fortunately, then Home Secretary Suella Braverman announced a task force to tackle the grooming gangs, and that made some progress. And I think it's a scandal. Do we have some secret thing like that going on here in Lowell?
I
Eileen?
think there's always a scandal, especially after Kerry Washington's scandal that I believe came out in like 2010 or 2011. Obsessed with that. The scandals in Washington are even worse. Of course there are scandals in Lowell. We don't really know about it.
No, I'm talking about sexual abuse scandals.
Oh.
Child
sorry.
sexual abuse.
I hope not. I really hope not. But it happens more often than people really realize. And it's under child trafficking because anytime a man, like, look at what happened with the 15.
Or a woman.
A man or a woman, right? Look at Mary Kay Letourneau. She was the teacher of Billy, right? That was his name. And she took advantage of his mind when he was her student. And a person's mind isn't really developed until they're at least 25 years of age. That the research shows. So if a 25 to 35-year-old is taking advantage of a 15-year-old, or the case that first came to me was the older man from Tewksbury who was in a relationship with the 15-year-old or 14-year-old girl at the Sullivan School last May, and they were in a relationship, and then he ended up killing her. So yes, we do have it in Lowell in different ways.
It's not good. We need to be aware for the children and support the parents in this.
I got a couple of texts here.
All right?
And then, on the same breath, the mayor and police captain said crime was down in the city. Fake news. I'll tell you, I'm glad the police chief in New Orleans stopped wearing her hat. Oh my God, did she look silly in that hat. Next text. Teslas can drive themselves around. Maybe he was killed before the truck got there. No.
No, and they both rented the car from Toro, which
Let me just stand on the Tesla for a second, then you can talk about Toro. My wife has a self-driving Tesla, and if you're not paying attention to the road, if you close your eyes, the car will stop.
and pull over.
It'll stop driving, yeah.
Yeah.
So what were you gonna say?
Oh, Toro. So I actually put my newer car that I bought on Toro, and rented it out a few times.
You
So,
did?
Yeah, because So it's important because my mother's car is a 2006 Toyota Avalon, so it's important to get it started and get it driving. So I thought in my head, maybe I can make some money from my car and getting it rented.
Rent it to a terrorist. Okay.
But it was never a terrorist. And the process is decent. You have to take a picture of their license. You meet them. You make sure the car is nice and clean. You know what I mean? They take pictures of the car. It's a process to even let it go. You have to show them, where your registration is and inspection and all of that.
So, for what I'm getting from this is Toro may not have actually owned either of these vehicles. They may have just been a middleman.
Well, Toro doesn't. So Toro has people like me who say, oh, I can rent my car, okay, and this is when it's available, right?
So where do they get your car? At your house?
Yep, they'd pick it up at my house, and then I would check their license to make sure it was the person. I would take a picture of their license, and I have to upload it. Then the person takes all the pictures of the car, just like I did, before I left them with it, to make sure there was no incident or
Cool.
problem.
I didn't know this stuff.
Yeah, it's a pretty thorough practice, and I figured it was a good way to kind of force me to drive my mother's car because I don't always think of starting it and, getting it going, and especially on these cold days, and it's important to do that. I often
So
call
what kind of dough do they pay you to rent your car?
So I think my longest one was probably 4 days, and they can extend it, and they charge a little more, and so I'd get like $60 a day.
Oh, good. Not bad.
So, and then they pay you within like 2 days. So it's a nice way, but my son was a little, he didn't really like it. He's like, Mom, can you please stop doing that?
So now when they bring the car back, do you have to give them a ride someplace?
Nope, they're completely self-sufficient. They know to call an Uber to come and pick it up and then go back. I have even offered, but they were good. They usually have a ride already set up. So people who use that service are pretty proficient with it.
Okay. Never knew. So moving on to this slides that you put on the computer over here. Do you want to talk about this stuff? Or
Okay, so both ABC News and what we know about on the right is the New Orleans attacker, and on the left is the Las Vegas attacker. All right, so if you can scroll up, let's start with New Orleans.
This is New Orleans over here, yep.
Okay, scroll down just a little bit.
Okay, so you want me to scroll this up a little bit?
Oh, up, yes, sorry.
Okay. And the man is suspected of plowing a truck into a crowd on Bourbon Street in New Orleans on New Year's, killing 14 people, injuring 35 others. Pledged his support for ISIS, the FBI said Thursday.
The suspect was an Army veteran in the U.S., a U.S.-born citizen from Houston, Texas, who also died in the attack. Now, can you take Matthew from the Las Vegas attack and kind of go to that same point? And can you pull it in a little?
You mean you want to, I don't understand.
Like from the sides?
Oh, you're missing one side? Okay.
Yes, there we go. The suspect who rented the cyber truck that exploded outside Trump International Hotel in Las Vegas on New Year's Day has been identified as U.S. Army Master Sergeant Matthew Livensberg, 37, a special operations soldier who was on leave from his base in Germany, investigators said. So, okay, both Army. The New Orleans was an Army veteran, and this Las Vegas one was an Army member on leave. Okay. So, and you know what's something that really stuck out to me about the Teslas is, even my mother said with the one that was burning in Las Vegas, she said to me, why aren't they doing anything about it? It's because it's the Tesla, because of the way it's made. They can't just throw water on it. There has to be a specific way that they deal with
They cover
that.
it with a big rag. That's how they extinguished the fire.
Right.
It's not hard, you just have to have a big, gigantic cloth you can pull over the vehicle.
And I would think that even firefighters have to put on those expensive gloves that you even have to work on it, which I believe it's, because to even work on a Tesla, you have to buy gloves that I think cost $500. So I would think the firefighters would have to get those types of gloves so they didn't get any types of burns. So both were Tesla. Okay, can we go back to that?
Go back to your slides, yeah. Well, no, they won't, the Ford was an electric truck, a Lightning.
Oh, okay.
It was a Ford Lightning, electric.
Oh, so the New Orleans one was not a Tesla. Okay.
That was a Ford Lightning,
All right.
or it is a Ford Lightning. You want to talk, this is New Orleans side. This is Las
Las
Vegas
Vegas.
side.
Investigators believe, can you go down just a little up? Yeah. Investigators believe the explosion was intentional but hadn't determined a motive. Okay. Can you keep going down? Okay, right here. As they continue their investigation into the blast, a profile of Livelsberger is emerging from the Army with people who knew him. His wife told investigators that her husband has been out of their Colorado Springs residence since around Christmas after a dispute over allegations of infidelity. Yeah, that's what they were saying, that he was obviously conflicted. An official who had been briefed on the investigation told NBC News, adding her husband would not hurt anybody. A relative of his who did not want to be named told ABC that he had recently been married and just had a baby. All right, now can you go over to the right to, after barreling through the crowd over a 3-block sketch. So 42 years old, and how old was Matthew? I think it said 37?
Yeah.
Okay. He opened fire on police officers, he said. Officers returned to fire, killing him. 2 police officers were injured. He was believed to have acted alone on Thursday, calling the attack a premeditated act of terrorism.
Well, now, listening to this on New Orleans local TV, what I did was I go to YouTube, I go New Orleans TV, and the live newscast comes up from a local TV station in New Orleans. I believe it was Channel 11 in New Orleans. And they reported on, that I was listening to, there were 2 men and a woman distributing pipe bombs in Las Vegas. No, not Las Vegas, in New Orleans, and they had video of this. So the cover-up that the police station put a police cruiser where a dump truck should have been. I mean, talking to just my friends about the Chelmsford Parade, they were talking, we put dump trucks filled with sand to prevent people from getting on the parade route. So that's how they do it. And it's not rocket science, and I'm certain that New Orleans has dump trucks. And why they put a police cruiser there is very disturbing. So going back to you, Eileen, these 2 slides you got up there? You read the right hand, you read?
Yeah, his half-brother said that this was completely out of his character and found it shocking. So I guess the one thing I noticed too is that the New Orleans was an Army veteran, right? I wonder if he had issues. He described his brother as the nicest guys you ever met, would not hurt a fly. He was the youngest of, they were talking to the youngest of the 4 brothers in the family and gave his name, whom they called Sham. Sham was the eldest. He was a human being. He was deep, thoughtful, funny, charismatic. All right, keep going down. He also said that he was not aware of any extremism or radicalism from his brother, whom he believed to have been leading an ordinary life up until the incident in New Orleans. Maybe he was dealing with some mental health issues that I didn't know about, that he that he didn't even know to alert his family about. The younger brother said maybe being isolated, weighed on him. And I'm
He's
sure.
been divorced twice.
Sham, this guy
Yeah.
on the right. And I mean, obviously that does a number on anybody, I would think. And it goes to say, I'm sure his culture also doesn't really believe in mental illness, and nor do they want to talk about it, and that bills. I don't know, he added. I can't imagine that he would drive anybody to do anything like this. I can't imagine what would drive anybody. Our hearts and prayers and thoughts are with those families. I mean, and it seems like this is a wholesome overall family. Maybe they just don't know how to help in situations.
He recently had a conversion to Islam.
All right. You would think that would be a big flag.
Yeah, why? Not that there's anything wrong.
What was his
Socially,
first religion?
What, he was a Christian.
A Christian, and then he went to...
My guess is
Okay.
PWOP.
I think these guys, it's related, and that's where I'm going to leave it.
Yeah, I mean, it has to be in some way. Can you pull up, even John, can you pull up the explosives that they pulled from the Las Vegas truck? I remember seeing that and being,
Well, the construction of the vehicle was amazing, that it prevented more damage from happening. When the gasoline thing in the back blew up with the firecrackers, the body of the truck prevented it from blowing sideways.
yeah, they said that, how it like really kept everything inside. And I guess Elon Musk actually sent a team down to...
Looks like a regular dump truck, right? You got a dump truck, that's what it usually looks like in the back.
Yeah, and Elon Musk sent a team to extract all the videos. I guess there are about 7 to 10 different cameras in a Tesla to see if they can extract any information.
But that's the back of his truck right there.
So, compounding the confusion in the J. Edgar Hoover building with the FBI director, Christopher Wray, had previously said that the white supremacists pose the greatest terror threat, a greater terror threat than radical Islamists. It turns out that it doesn't work out that way. We have twice as many dead from Islamist activities in the United States than we do from any Caucasians of some political persuasion.
Cliff, every Muslim I know is a nice guy.
Yeah.
And acquaintances of myself who have been arrested for criminal acts, I was surprised that they got arrested for the criminal act from the get-go. And so it's always a surprise. You've got kids. Did they ever do anything that surprised you?
Every day of my
I
life.
can't believe you did that. Like your daughter comes home and says, "You're going to be a grandfather." I can't believe it. Kids do stuff you would never expect them to do. So there.
Okay. Just a little side note, Anthony Fauci was all over RFK Jr., who said not one of the 72 vaccines mandated for children has ever been safety tested. That's
A picture that Eileen just sent me for the audience.
That was the one that I was looking for, with all the explosives that were really taken out of there. It looked like he had used even some types of fertilizer, I want to say, to help with the explosion.
Well, we got lucky with this one here. Another dummy. He wasn't too bright. This character wasn't too bright, and lucky for all the other Americans.
And I think it says a lot that he was on army leave. You know, why was he on an army leave? He was going through a divorce. Maybe he was cheating on his wife. You know, a million different things, but you don't know
It's 'cause
what those
You get 30
underlying.
days a year of leave.
So it wouldn't be, all right.
Now,
But that's normal.
well, actually, normal is you don't get to use all 30 days, and it builds up, and after you've accumulated, I can't remember, 100, 120 days, you lose it.
Oh, you can't buy them back?
No.
Right, so I guess I'm saying that for them to state that he was on leave, he was obviously going through stuff. All right, so the beginning of the school year, I had to take family medical leave because of Anthony's new school and transporting him and assure that I kept my job safe. He was on a leave for some particular reason, and it seems like he was just going through a lot. His wife was probably pregnant, just had the baby. I mean, I think that's overwhelming today for a lot of people who, I mean, it's overwhelming for you guys when your wives were pregnant. But today, we don't give people the tools to realize that life is tough and you're going to get through it. There's no grit anymore in society. There's no more faith to even rely back on your religion.
I got some text here. I want to know, when is Biden administration going to blame the truck like they do someone uses a gun to take somebody's life? That's from Jay. Interesting angle.
Excellent comment, Jay.
A few years ago, a guy fell asleep on the Mass Pike in a Tesla going over 65 miles per hour. Why didn't that Tesla pull over? The driver next to him took a cell phone video. The story was on the news.
That was old technology. That's gone. You can't do that no more. The new Tesla, as soon as you take your eyes off the road, code comes up on the screen, and if you don't react to it right away, it gets over to the breakdown lane and stops the car. Next text, maybe they should have some of the older border wall that Joey let rot on the border to block the streets. No, you just got to park an LRTA bus. Hey, we got to go to break. We'll be back. Thanks. Welcome to City Life Show. I'm Cliff Krieger, your host. I'm joined by Eileen Delrossi from the Lowell School Committee. We have our producer, John McDonough.
Morning.
Is it me or is it a little out of focus,
What?
the screen? It must be me.
Don't worry about it. Nothing we can do about it. Technology all married together.
And we're hoping
Fred says
to
he's
be...
here, but I don't see his car. Oh,
Maybe-
yeah, Fred's here. I'll go get him.
I was going
Okay.
to say, maybe you took an Uber.
Somewhere trying to get in is Fred Bahou from the Lowell and Greater Lowell Tech schools. Weather today, the Friday the 3rd. It's cold and windy this morning. High of 38, 1% chance of precipitation. Winds 19, gusting up to 40. Partly cloudy. Humidity 45. Sunrise at 7:15, just a few minutes away. Sunset at 4:24. Tonight 22. 1% chance of precipitation, and the weekend will be around 31 degrees. So, there's Fred, welcome Fred.
Good morning, good morning.
And,
Sorry, thank you, Fred.
so how was your New Year's, Fred? Did you go out and party hardy?
Oh, we got some coffee going on over here. I like it.
at the disco.
I like it. The old disco. Is the disco still open? No, we went out for a little Mexican food. There was no room at the Chinese places. And then we went out for an espresso martini to close the night. We were home by 11 and watching Ryan Seacrest's Rockin' Eve by midnight.
Ah,
Yes. How about yourself, Cliff? What did you get to do on New Year's Eve and New Year's Day?
we watched a 3-hour version of The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, which ended at 11, and we went upstairs, checked our email and the news, and at midnight, we went to bed.
Okay, right at midnight. Right after the clock struck
Yeah.
12, boom, you covered the new year.
Right.
On to sleep we go. That's good that you stayed up that late.
Yeah.
I don't know that I'll stay up late, when I'm your age, Cliff.
No. So,
The baby New Year is born again.
yeah.
Yes.
It's the beta generation, 2025.
So what does that mean?
The,
Are we in trouble?
I mean, I'm sure we are, because we just finished the alpha generation, which I have another term for alpha. It begins with A and it ends, it's a compound word, and it ends with E. I'm not going to say it because we're on public access.
Watch out.
But this is generation alpha beta. This is generation beta. Anyone born in this year is beta.
Oh, God.
Okay.
yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so Alpha, who were born 2000
I want to say
or 2010?
the millennial went from 81 to probably about 2000. Maybe it's 2000 to 2012 or 13, because my son's an alpha. I'll find out the data.
Okay.
I'll get back.
Well, we've got it.
Yeah, we were just finishing up in our typical ragtag way on the Dawn Patrol that Anthony Fauci had been accusing RFK Jr. of lying about vaccines. And after about a year, RFK sued, and after about a year, apparently Fauci has settled and admitted that RFK Jr. wasn't that far off. Apparently, one of the things that RFK was saying was, which I found interesting, was that autism went from 1 in 10,000 in my generation to 1 in every 34 kids today. Does that sound right?
I think that's a great question for Eileen. But I don't know about the 1 in 34, but I mean,
My theory is we all have a little bit of autism. Like, we all have a little bit of that in us in different ways, right? It's just now the diagnosis is rampant. It's,
I suspect, don't have any proof, I suspect, if your kid has autism, you get a bump in the kid's check. And once the mother on the other seat learned, just because you told me he has autism, you got more money? Yeah. Hey, my kid's autistic, twice as autistic as hers is. It's all money-based. I suspect that's what's going on with autism.
so the criteria to diagnosis is there's 3 levels. ASD level 1, ASD level 2, ASD level 3, where it's more severe. And then there are medical issues that come with it. I mean, I don't know, it's the term of the century, right? It really has become that. All right, millennials are 1980 to 1995. Generation Z is 96 to 2012. Generation Alpha is 2012 to 24. And 25 on is Generation Beta.
I'm gonna read this text quick, then I'm gonna ask her what the heck you're talking about. Seems like a wholesome family. Just what ABC wants you to feel. Why give that killer's family a platform of sympathy? It's disgusting news, so says our commenter. Eileen, this Generation Z stuff,
Beta.
okay, Alpha, Beta,
Gen
Romeo.
Beta today.
Alpha Romeo. Who makes this stuff up?
I have
Is it
no clue.
somebody down at Harvard or Yale or?
Yeah, demographers.
Did you see Notre Dame game yesterday? That was good.
Good.
Notre Dame ran rapid all over that team.
The Sugar Bowl.
And what a fourth down play that was at the 18, at their own 18-yard line with 8 minutes to go in the game.
Because there's one kiddo, he's from Lowell.
Yeah, Tai Chan and the
Plays on,
little
my
cousin.
wife watches every Notre Dame game, hoping she'll see him.
Sure. Yeah, Ty's a great kid.
He's a huge kid.
And he's been large, yes, and strong and fast.
Yes.
Everything Notre Dame wants.
Yep.
Yes, but the 1 in 34, I guess it's not surprising, but it's all about how they want to diagnose today in respect to 1950, when you're referring to, I believe, where the diagnosis was probably a little bit more lax.
Yes.
That's
What do
my
you-
guess. And then if there is a bump in a check and you can get something for it, well, I guess that's an option.
How's it play out at Greater Lowell? Are you aware of any students that have any autism, ADHD, any of those kinds of things? Do you make any special allowances?
It's like that in all school districts.
HIPAA. Yeah, you have to. You can't discriminate. So you have to.
Wait, Greater Lowell is all about discriminating.
No, they're about being selective on attendance
Okay,
and
it's
behavior.
a better way of putting it, selective.
Thanks, Eileen.
You're welcome.
Now,
Yes, no,
comment-
we have a very large special education department. Of our 2,000 students that go there, our special education department is over 500.
Ah.
So it is about 25% of our kids. I don't know if you know why you're laughing.
Comment from the
about that.
audience.
No, I was reading that
Oh,
comment.
okay.
I told my dad I had autism, and he told me, "I'll give you autism. Now get to school." Like my kids, I'm like, "Come on, you guys think you're funny, but you really need to start learning how to read." I can't, miss. I have ADHD. I'm like, I have ADHD. Welcome to the club. Suck it up. Let's go. Like honestly. There's so many excuses out there that kids just don't want to learn or they don't want to go to school. Guess what? Disclaimer, none of us want to wake up every day and go to school and go to work and do the day-to-day, but we do it. Kids today just don't want to be uncomfortable in any way, shape, or form, but that's what life's about, being uncomfortable.
So you're sort of on the Vivek Ramaswamy side when he came out and said that we need to stop honoring the prom queen and honoring the math genius.
No.
Here in the
Yes,
United
I agree.
States.
I agree.
We need to honor the people that just do their everyday life. They go to school, they do what they're supposed to, they work hard, they do what, not even a genius. You don't even have to be a math genius. You wake up, you put your nose to the ground, you do what you're supposed to, you go home, you be a good person, you do what you're supposed to do.
And Eileen, respectively, what can you do if a kid doesn't? There's not a doggone thing you can do with the kid. If the kiddo is going to act up in school,
No, you're right.
nothing, the kid's going to go right back to your same class, disrupt the same class, and it's not working. You guys are both school committee members. Thank you for your service. What can you do about this? Why does a bad kid get to go back to my grandkid's class?
Because there's no accountability. We're not spending the funds in appropriate ways. We're putting funds towards top administrative positions where we need it, where the boots are on the ground, where the teachers are on the front lines.
You need to move your mic a little closer to you.
We need all that funding where, on the front lines, where the teachers are with the students, and stop putting it towards the administration salaries and aiming in the right direction instead of, we're doing these kids a disservice. I'm going to work, I'm at least getting a paycheck. I get health insurance. That's something I get. These kids are not getting what they need in any district. And it's unfortunate. They need to be structured better. It needs to be broken down so that behavioral kids are with behavioral kids, but they're still maybe getting something out of it. And the kids that are ready, set, go to learn are progressing. And it just needs to be broken down better.
Okay, you can read this one, please.
While guns can be used as self-defense, they are also offensive weapons manufactured to kill people. Every time a vehicle is plowed into a group of people, the gun nuts love to make the silly argument that maybe we should ban cars. But did this whole terrorist attack begin in Germany too?
No, it's happened before. There was one in New York City, a dozen years ago?
No, but the one in Germany that happened right before Christmas,
Yeah.
was there any connection to him being in the military or anything like that?
No, he was a shrink.
A shrink.
He had renounced Islam, and he was a supporter of AFD.
Who's
Alternative
AFD?
Alternative for Deutschland. There's going
What?
to be an
What's the
election.
second word?
Four.
Last word?
Deutschland.
Is this German?
That's German.
German, yeah. Remember she
We don't
said it
speak
was
German
in
here.
Germany?
We don't speak German. What does that word mean?
What does that word mean?
The German word, what does it mean?
Just like you said, German.
Never mind, Cliff.
There's
Please
going to
cha-
be an election in Germany at the end of February.
Please change the topic.
There
Thank
is
you.
going to be an election in Germany at the end of February, and there are concerns among some people that what we would now call the right-wing party, AFD, Alternative for Deutschland, is going to get a much bigger portion of the German legislature. So that'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
Can I play the We Don't Care song? We don't care. We don't care. We don't care.
Well, the newest kind of terrorism, realistically, is to drive cars into masses amount of people. So,
Germany enforces its laws better than the United States does.
unfortunately, there's terrorism all over the world, but America seems to be targeted an awful lot
And
lately.
the,
I mean, how many times did you hear on New Year's Eve that, Boston was saying, see something, say something, or New York was saying, be on high alert if you're going down.
and the New Orleans
Right.
Police Department just told them, tell somebody else. See something, say something, tell it to somebody else, because we're going to use our police cruiser where we should have a bus.
Well, again, that was not set up
Eddie
properly.
Davis
Right.
said right out loud
Eddie
on
Davis
Boston
said, "We put
TV,
dump
said
trucks
they should have had a
in
dump
front
truck there.
of
Everybody knows that.
Right. That's
Except for the
essentially-
New Orleans people. The New Orleans Police Department doesn't like to listen to
Well,
people.
New Orleans has always had, let's be real, sort of seemed a little bit inferior in what they've done to,
And they say we're the
help
best,
people.
we're the best at this, and nobody corrects
everybody
them.
says we're the best. Everyone says we're the best.
And we all know we have
And
the best at
unfortunately,
Lowell.
and yeah, I like to think so. I like to think so. But, it's common that terrorists have ways to get in. I mean, don't forget, many years ago, they used to strap themselves with bombs and go into a large crowd and detonate themselves.
They still do that right through today. That was the only way to do it.
That was, the beginning process. They're always finding martyrs to do that. And let's be real, did this person, whatever his name is from Texas, act alone? And more than likely, articles say that he did not. So there's terrorists out there in New Orleans and across the United States, unfortunately.
Well, I guess I'm gonna go
Very
around the
sad.
room and ask, do you trust the government?
To keep the,
Do you trust the government?
keep
And-
us
and
from
all- And all this
terrorism?
good stuff that just happened, these tragedies that just happened in New Orleans and in Las Vegas, do you trust the government's report on this?
listen,
It's start off with a yes, no, or I don't
it's
know.
pretty difficult to trust the government.
Okay.
But
I mean, what's
it's
your-
also, but you need the government to keep you safe,
It's
right?
the only government we have, but they lie to
That's
us.
correct.
They
Well,
lie to us.
Let's be real, many years ago, we used to have a government that said if you have a loaded gun or a gun that's not registered to you, then you would go to jail for a year. And unfortunately, now guns are rampant throughout my city, the city of Lowell, and murders are happening, all the time in neighborhoods
Comment from the
that I
audience.
live in.
Not all
So-
the time.
The police failed the people
Well,
on
every
Vernon Street.
time,
Good
frequently
comment, thank
enough. When I'm driving home at 11 o'clock on Westford Street and I find out that there's a shooting and a killing at 11:20 right off of Westford Street, that raises the hairs on my neck.
As it should.
Okay, so, yeah, all the time. And it's happening regularly. How many students did we have that were murdered this past year from Lowell Public Schools?
That's a great question.
Yeah, at least 2. And I'm talking about students that are of the
Yeah,
student body.
I was just
Right, there was a
talking-
young child, right, from his dad that was
At the beginning
with his
of-
mom at the beginning of the year. And then there was a girl that
Aaliyah,
just graduated.
yeah, from the
the 8th
Sullivan.
grade.
And we were just talking about how that had to do with child trafficking because she was with a man way older. And what are we doing to protect these kids in those terms of reaching out to these families and like mental health? And I do believe mental health plays a big piece in this and people not knowing how to reach out for the proper supports. And then they seem to look at it as it's all or nothing. And we're not putting our resources into the right places to protect our population at the end of the day. We're just not.
Well, the guns are one issue, but the terrorism, I really believe that they try and they work hard to go ahead and prevent it from happening. And I'm sure they do prevent terrorism from happening across the United States. So in that sense, I do trust the
But-
government. We worry about the masses and we worry about the safety of our country.
What about the warning signs, even just for parents who may not know? Like maybe your daughter shouldn't be dating a 20-year-old plus when she's only in middle school.
What's wrong with a 40? She should be dating a 44-year-old guy,
We
right?
think
Eileen, I got
people-
3 texts here.
We think that we know that. It would never happen in downtown Lowell, no people there. There has been incidents that have happened in downtown Lowell. Rights are like muscles. If you don't exercise them, you lose them. The right to own a firearm does not
You're
make
not on
you
your
a
mic.
gun nut.
You're not on your mic.
Oh,
My
sorry. Rights are like muscles. If you don't exercise them, you lose them. The right to own a firearm does not make you a gun nut. No, it doesn't. And the next day, the courts let them back on the streets.
That's it for the text. Back to you guys, thanks.
All right.
Well, the system is
So-
broken. There you go.
So John asked a loaded question. Do you trust your government? Let's ask you, John. Do you trust your government?
No, they lie. Well,
They all don't tell the truth.
I
That's
could
for
just
darn sure.
back up to 2 weeks ago. The drones in New Jersey,
Back to drones. Yep.
they're still there. The news media just chooses not to report on them anymore.
Sure. They're told or asked not to report on them.
I don't know anybody who works right
We
now
don't know.
for a
but-
real
but
TV
something's
station.
happening,
But
and
my
all of a
guess on
sudden
the
we don't
past
hear it.
is-
It's not in the news anymore.
The TV stations were told by the federal government, knock it off. Stop covering that issue. Cliff, do you know anything otherwise about the drones?
I'm going with the theory that if there was anything to it, Elon Musk would have tweeted out about it.
Not the government.
He's not the government.
But no, Mike, why doesn't the government tell us what's going on there?
Because we've let them get away with it. Look at the 2020 election. They totally suppressed the whole Hunter Biden laptop, which might have blown up the election. But the government suppressed that. right?
And like Fru says,
And you
whoever's
let
in
them get
charge of
away
the
with it.
media,
You let them get away with it.
we all did. We reelected, look at Massachusetts, we just had a brand spanking new election. We put the same reps back in place. Corruption's gonna continue to happen at the State House. They're not gonna let Diane DeSoglio, thank you. They're not gonna let that gal investigate what they're doing with our money.
Well, they're going to drag their feet until her reelection, and then they're going to see if she gets reelected. And she is an incumbent in the state of Massachusetts, and it's pretty difficult to beat an incumbent. But this is going to drag on until, next state election, and then we'll see if she wins, and then she'll be able to maybe.
Do you think
get
she
it
should be
done.
able to audit the State House, Fred?
The state voted 75% to 80%
Yes or
of
no?
the
Do you
people.
think she should be able to audit?
She raised a great question, and I would have no problem if the state house was audited.
I agree with you.
I agree too. But I don't think the question is so much, we let it happen. I think there are voices like Cliff's and like John's, and, there are voices that get drowned out by the bigger masses. And that's what happens. And that it's allowed to take place because you're essentially outnumbered. Look at, in the case of Diana DeSoglio, they're fighting her tooth and nail because of the masses in the legislature. Not the voters, but the voters don't have the power, right?
They do have the power.
They do have the power, and that's what she's trying to fight for.
Who did you vote for your state senator and state rep? Did you vote for Carla Miller for state senator? I'm not trying to put you on the, but that's the point. The majority of people voted for Ed Kennedy to put him back in.
But does that mean they made the wrong decision? Or did they, this happens across the state. But
Eileen, I got 2 texts here.
Yeah.
So, this is not a Republican versus Democrat thing.
Grand slam, Mr. McD. The government and swampy media are in cahoots.
Number 2 coming up here.
No, I do not trust the government at all. All caps. Politicians are there to feather their nest and pat each other on the back.
We're doing
That's
a
funny, 'cause
fantastic. We're the best out there. We're the
So
best.
this morning in the Lowell Sun, there's an
That's funny,
article.
because I get called a politician all the time. But I
Yeah,
don't
but
look at
that's 'cause
myself
you
as a
are.
politician. I don't believe that I am. I am a person that serves the
Right.
students of the city of Lowell. That's how I look at it.
I
But other
found,
people look at it differently.
I found myself
I'm
asking
sitting here with
myself,
2 politicians.
I found myself really asking
Very low
myself
level,
that
if you will.
question this past week. And I feel like I am a politician, but by default, because I got into politics because of serving as a teacher and seeing the inequity in it all. And also because of the struggles that I went through with my own child in the school system. And I wanted to make it better. I wanted to make it easier. And although I'm finding out one little voice doesn't really beat the masses either. And and that's where it gets hard. And where I get more gray hairs.
Okay.
And it costs more for me to get them colored.
On a different topic, the red velvet donut from Top Donut,
Interesting.
good choice. Thank you.
Yep, we're starting off the new year in class.
Today's Lowell Sun has an article. Top polls blast press for persistent negative narrative. And so this starts with House Speaker Ronald Mariano speaking to the new legislature that got sworn in yesterday. So, yeah.
Didn't he just get reelected as the chairman?
Yeah, he did.
Okay, so, and then they come out with an article like this? Well, ultimately, maybe people should be lobbying for him not to be the
Right, and
head legislature.
he's one of the
Speaker
major
House.
ones fighting against Diana DeSoglio,
Of course he is. He's
as well as Governor Haley. I mean, and the Attorney General.
So I think that the part that we're missing here is that the adults are not acting like adults. So therefore, they don't vote. I mean, what's that precinct that has what, like 10% turnout here in Lowell?
Unfortunately, there's a few
November.
of them.
The precinct is it,
And then you've got
You're talking about the presidential election, or you're talking about local elections?
presidential elections.
Okay, well,
The,
that might be downtown, it might
or
be the
back
Acre.
central?
I'm gonna barge in on
Downtown, the
this.
Acre, it could be up in Centerville.
Kids, I gotta put this out there, people in Tewksbury and South Lowell, we're gonna shut your lights off. January 14th, coming up pretty soon, January
South Lowell.
14th, National Grid will be conducting critical electrical system improvements in the middle of winter? Come on now. But at any rate, they're gonna shut the power off
Well, it's
between
about 10%. It's
Yeah.
just
6 to 8 hours.
That's to one, and which is
Fred,
5.
Fred, shh, your microphone is just as sensitive as mine. Leaning over and whispering into it means people can
I get
hear.
myself in trouble every time I'm on this show. Why do you have me back?
A microphone's a
John,
microphone.
John, the thing is that behind your microphone, there's someone who's not sensitive, so it works out.
Cliff, I know you're the smartest person in the room. You can process two thoughts at the same time. God bless you. You can't listen to two people at the same time. And so when two people, so the main point is, mark your calendar. If you live in Tewksbury or you live in South Lowell, Wednesday, January 15th, they're going to shut your lights off for 6 to 8 hours. Between 9 p.m., so if you're watching a good TV show at 9, bam, it's gone. Until 5 a.m. So I hope it's a nice day. Back to you guys.
Turn on
So
your generator.
the problem is the adults are not acting like adults, which is why their children are misbehaving in school. They're not acting like adults, they're not voting, and you can see the difference in different precincts in Lowell between the high voting precincts and the low voting precincts. I think Fred's in one of the high voting precincts. Eileen, I'm not so sure.
I'm in the mediocre precinct.
Yeah,
2
my
and 4.
my precinct votes more than anybody else. Let's face it, the
Belvedere.
Belvedere, the Highlands, and Pawtucketville elect the at-large members of the city council.
Hey, Cliff.
Nobody else does.
When
John?
you make that slide, can you send a text?
Can I send a text? Yes.
If you can send it a text, I can just put it up.
All right.
It looks like it might be down by the YMCA. That has that very low voter
Yeah.
turnout. It's not marking 4-2 or 4-3.
Yeah.
I don't believe it's the upper, it's in the Highlands. I know
No.
the lower Highlands vote very, very well.
Yes, exactly.
The upper Highlands vote very well, but those are 4s as well. But I'm going to guess it's going to either be the YMCA or right off of Powell Street. But that's a high voter turnout as far as I know, too. People
Until
work
the
that
adults grow up here in Lowell,
area. Okay.
we're going to have trouble. And we're going to have trouble in schools, and we're going to have trouble in voting. By the way, the Sun also has an article, there were 10 citizen complaints filed against the city council last year. 10 complaints by concerned citizens.
How many from the same person?
I don't know, I didn't get that deep into the article.
Happy New Year, Mr. Bahou. Always great. Always a great guest on the show.
I love it.
So Eileen, you're about
Tell them
to
I'm coming.
book,
Okay.
I do. I have to go. I have to go to my real job.
and what's the book that you brought in?
Oh, this is something I'm working on. I got it at Barnes & Noble, Finding Your Authentic Self.
Okay,
Self-help book.
we'll be looking for a report.
I might need that. Let me know when you're done.
I am. I get to write it in and everything. It has some like good stuff.
Sure. And I'll call you on the windows.
Okay, thank
Okay?
you. I
Yes.
appreciate that.
Yes, I
Every
don't know if I'm
time.
around this weekend,
But even if you,
Sunday or Monday.
all right.
Okay.
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you.
So, this week we had no city council, no school committee. Are we gonna have a school committee next week?
Lowell School Committee will be meeting on the third Wednesday of January, so that was January 15.
So we do have a city council meeting. The subject should come out sometime, the agenda sometime today. The License Commission, of course, met yesterday. They're not slacking off like,
That was the second, was that the first? Was that a holiday? Because we were scheduled to
Second.
meet on the holiday.
yeah.
The Lowell School Committee decided it was a holiday, so let's just move it on to our other regularly scheduled meeting. But thank
Right.
you.
So,
Thank you for serving, Cliff. We appreciate what you all do with the License Commission.
oh, I appreciate you guys paying me.
No, terrific. I didn't know we paid you.
Oh, yeah, I make something like $90 a month.
You get $90 a month?
Yeah.
That's more than I get at Greater Lowell.
And they deduct money for retirement, which they will not pay me, but I do get the money back when I leave the,
So you'll be reimbursed.
so I'll
Is it
be
compounded?
reimbursed.
Are they
No,
investing it for you?
No. So I'm losing money.
You're not
So,
losing money. You're making $90 a day minus whatever it is they're taking out,
A
and they're
month,
going to
a
give it
month.
back to you. 90 a month, my mistake. How often
and
do you
then they
meet?
take some of that away
Do you
from
meet
me.
twice a month or once a month?
We meet twice a month.
Twice a month, okay. So they're giving you $45
Actually, I
a
would
year.
say probably 1.85%.
Thank you for your dedication.
I mean,
Thanks, Eileen.
so somebody asked me about learning motorcycle mechanics, and so I was wondering if your adult education program at Greater Lowell, do you have one that teaches auto mechanics, motorcycle mechanics?
Auto mechanics. The adult education we do not offer. We offer automotive mechanics for our students, but as far as the night program goes, we do not teach auto mechanics. Was that the question?
That's the question.
Yes, and we do not teach motorcycle mechanics at all. We just
Okay.
teach the students to work
So-
on engines.
So the adult program, you have to pay for that?
Of course, yes. But it's very nominal. It's really
Okay.
covered by the state. We could look it up online right now.
That's
But I
okay.
believe the plumbing or the electrical course is right around $600. The computer courses are somewhere just below $125. John, you pulling it up?
No?
No,
You want me to
okay.
pull it up?
But yeah, there are a number of courses that we teach which are less than $125 or $150.
That's a good deal.
And then as far as the electrical and the plumbing and the journeymans, those are a little bit more advanced. And there's licenses involved, so there is a little bit more cost for textbooks and the longer course. The carpentry program that we offer with Mass Hire is no cost, as well as the electrical program, as long as you go through Mass Hire and then come to us at Greater Lowell Tech. It's basically a change of career. So, as selective as we are not selective, as long as you can pass a test in order to enter into those programs, carpentry, electrical. And we're only selective, let's be real, because we take in 1,500 applications and only have 660 seats.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
We need
again,
a-
we're back to Voc school issues.
We need 10 more Voc schools
Thanks,
in
John.
the state.
So,
You can look
the
up night
cost of the
programs.
program, I'm gonna scroll up.
That's going to be the LPN program. That's the nursing program.
So cost, I always thought everything was free out
It's a
there.
one-year accelerated program.
Again,
If
I
you went
always
to
thought everything
UMass, if you went to Middlesex or UMass, it would be per semester charge. That's for the whole program.
But Middlesex, it's free.
Middlesex is free at this current time. Yes.
Well, I think you should tell the state, hey, look, we don't wanna be free
Wait,
too.
Middlesex is free, I thought only for people over 25.
That's correct, over 25, and if you qualify.
Yeah.
Well, whenever you hear something free for government, the second sentence should be in bold, print, except for you.
Read the fine print.
So, out-of-town district, so if you don't live there and you wanna go to school there, it's 11 grand. And then we'll go on to,
Out of state,
12 grand. And that's all, like, the reporting I got
okay,
on
if you
this
look at
page.
night programs, John,
Where would I see that, Fred?
maybe on the left-hand side.
Let me just
The
draw
way
that
that I'm looking
over
at
so
it.
you can enjoy that like I am.
Program costs, calendar,
As we're on the same page.
adult education, look to the right top bar.
Okay, up here someplace?
No, if you look.
On the right.
Right on the front page that you're on.
This is
Far
the-
right corner, adult education, top right.
I'm not seeing what you're saying.
Yeah,
So, to the
right.
The
top right-
dark bar.
There it is.
Oh,
horizontal
this
There
guy,
it
this
is,
guy,
yes.
okay. all
Yeah,
right, I'm
adult
looking at a different
education, you can lift, you can see course listing.
Okay, so,
There's a mission statement.
get a call up to ask.
And I think if you go to the course selection, you might see the costs. But they're very nominal.
Course selection out to the left?
Yeah,
Course
yep,
listing?
Course listing, there you go. And they'll probably, a lot of them start in January, some start in September,
$200.
which is Photoshop,
Digital
which is using
images,
Adobe, which is, camera work, and start basic welding for $400.
masking techniques, $200. Course we develop skills shielding material for arc welding, $415.
Yep, that's welding, which is
Developing
great.
refined skills on basic welder, $415.
$415, that's welding too.
Blueprint reading, $200. A medical coding certificate course, $170. That's a bargain. The intended audience of this course is anyone with a SolidWorks. SolidWorks tutorial on parts, assemblies, and drawings. 200. So a lot of different courses. $500 to
There are.
prepare an apprentice to become eligible for a state examination to be an electrician.
There you go, the electric journeyman is $525. So again, those are really nominal costs.
Yes.
For, what you can attain. AutoCAD, how to work on the computers, introduction to basic computer skills,
Got another $500
machine
one.
tech, right?
Two-
Machine technology is a very high, sought-after job these days. So,
So computer numerical control is $525. Course for a journeyman to prepare for a master's examination for electric, $500 for that course. To be determined, they haven't decided what we're gonna cost. $535. Course intended for individuals who employ healthcare industry. So,
Okay.
anything else you want to showcase here, Fred? Gonna go back? to
no, but it's all available. Take a look at it online and see if there's anything there that we offer. A lot of them begin in January, which is right now.
Yep.
And then some of the ones that require more hours begin in September and go right through the whole
QuickBooks for
year.
pros, 5 weeks long. Not bad.
So Fred, do you
Yes.
have any relationship with Lowell Makes? I know I've taken a course from Lowell Makes.
Unfortunately, I do not. I
Yeah.
wish, what does Lowell Makes do?
They give away free bikes.
Oh, okay, I saw an advertisement, they're looking for volunteers and such like that. That's the
It's
bike,
next
that's
to-
not called the bike connector?
I forget, is it John? I think they're on John Street.
Yes, I saw an
Right next to
advertisement.
St.
They-
Joseph,
they-
the Worker Shrine.
Right, they
Yes.
need some volunteers.
I took a computer course, some computer programming course. It's a short course. I don't think it costs me very much. Does Middlesex provide any vocational training for people?
Unfortunately,
know?
not through us.
Yeah.
It would be nice if we could develop a plan to work together. It's something that I've always sought after. I do know that Lawrence Technical High School is doing it with Northern Essex Community College.
Yeah.
So it has been, that barrier has been
Yeah.
crossed. So, I'm hoping that we can do it at Greater Lowell Tech. It really comes down to when I first started the discussion for it. It came down to having our teachers stay after school, or if Middlesex was to have their own teachers come in, what our shops would look like at the
Yeah.
end of the day and how they leave it for our shop teachers
Right.
on the next morning. Can it be, done? Can there be criteria? Of course there can be. However, it is something that we need to open the discussion,
Yeah.
again, with either the Middlesex trustees or the head, trying to think, the director of Middlesex Community College.
Yeah.
I forget the gentleman's name.
When I graduated from high school, my community college, which was one of my options, was broken down into two parts. Liberal Arts Division, you could open the catalog, they had all the courses that box top right into UCLA were starred, and there was the Business Technology Division, and my father taught at the night school at the Business Technology Division as a part-time kind of person.
Sure.
So there were those two ways of helping people advance.
Sure, guidance.
Yeah.
We're giving you the guidance and giving you
Yes.
criteria,
So
selection process.
your superintendent, good for another year?
Well, it's really the will of the committee.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we have not filled out his evaluation yet. But, he is working hard on issues such as attendance, such as behavior, such as testing, such as academics. He has hired he has a full staff now. He was sort of doing a lot of the administrative work on his own, in the sense where we didn't have a business manager for a period of time. We had a hard time getting a new special ed director who left, and then we had to find another special education director. Our curriculum director ended up becoming a superintendent over in, I believe, Fitchburg. And then we had to find a new curriculum director. But all of the roles have been filled, and now we are progressing with our schools. Our MCAS scores have gone up in 14 of our 26 schools. So Mr. Skinner does have his finger on the pulse of the school district. And most people that he hired were from, or formerly from, the Lowell School District. The one person that he did not hire from the Lowell School District was from the Boston School District. So he did do, an awful lot of hiring, and he likes to think that he got the best people. And that he has done.
So it dawned on me that I did a poor job of wording my question. I was actually wondering about Greater Lowell, because I used to be much more aware, but I haven't been paying attention lately. How's the superintendent doing out there at Greater Lowell?
We renewed the superintendent of Jill Davis contract 3 years ago. She is doing an outstanding job there, and we are expecting her to stay through July 1st of 2026, or through June 30th of 2026, and then we will reevaluate at that time if she chooses to stay and consider, optional year contracts, or if we would like to go ahead and look into other superintendents, or her maybe even retire.
Okay. John, would you like to tell us what's for lunch today?
I don't have it yet, Cliff.
That's okay then. So Fred, what's on your bingo
But I
card
will tell you,
for
the senior center is-
2025?
Lowell Senior Center is closed this weekend. So don't head over there for lunch this weekend.
Why is that?
Maintenance, they're cleaning all the floors. They're doing a deep cleaning of the floors in like the Great Hall and stuff like that, so.
So Fred, what's on your bingo card for 2025?
I
What do you
really-
think's
I-
going to happen?
I really think the most important thing, as far as schools go, would be the Lowell High School building project. We are spending $476 million on this project, and we have to just keep an eye on it. We do have meetings every few months, and that's vital that we make sure that everything gets done on time, and that we're able to go ahead and have the work completed without any issues. We have come up with an issue at the Cyrus Irish Auditorium where there is much more asbestos than they had anticipated, and they are moving that project out and only working on the core of the rehab of the 1922 building without the Irish Auditorium this year, and then work on the Irish Auditorium as they're working with the back of Coburn Hall next year. So it seems like we are going in the right direction. However, there is an issue with the auditorium.
Yeah.
So we have to really keep an eye on that. And then as far as our contingency fund, do we have enough money to complete the project? We are being told we do. However, that is still something that we have to sort of keep an eye on to make sure
Oh, yeah.
that we do not run over budget, which is unfortunately very common in projects of this magnitude across the state. So, so that's really a big focus of mine, as well as, another thing, but, you can go ahead and ask about that first.
So just adding to the cost, is anybody finally going to wake up and propose a sky bridge from the high school over to the parking garage across Father Morissette Boulevard?
It's a great idea, but I don't know that that's in the budget. And we're worried about,
Yeah?
landing on budget, on time and on budget. So that might be, a conversation for another day, because a lot of our students and staff do park at that parking garage, and safety, should be a concern. Even if we put up a set of lights there with a pedestrian walkway to make it a little safer for the time being, that would definitely be something that we have to consider, considering so many
Okay.
people use it.
So, do you think President Trump's going to make it all the way to inauguration on the 20th?
Well, why wouldn't he? I don't understand. It's currently January 3rd, and I believe that the inauguration is in 17 days.
So today they have to elect a Speaker of the House, and I'm willing to bet you a quarter they don't. Monday they're supposed to certify the election, and if they don't have a speaker, they won't certify the election.
Why is the current body voting on the Speaker of the House, considering the body will change?
Oh, the body changes today.
Oh, the body changes today, okay.
Yeah.
Everybody, oh, right, I'm thinking January 20th, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure they'll come up with some Speaker of the House. There might be some infighting, some discussions that
Oh,
there's
yeah.
no majority. Well, let's just hope that this goes seamless. I'm anticipating that, when it's time to certify the election, that we're not going to have the same issue that we did 4 years ago on January 6th. So let's hope that it goes smoothly. The last thing we want to do in this time is to have the thoughts that our government is not, have a lot of order, is not in order. So we just need to keep our fingers crossed on that one. And I guess you've got more of the pulse on that than I do. I didn't realize that could become an issue in the next 17 days.
Yeah.
Personally speaking, I'm more worried about terrorism. It just seems like it's, it seems like it's out there and it's much larger than it has been.
I think so. I think you're right.
That's something that we need to really
So,
keep an eye on and keep our fingers crossed on, and hope our government is doing a good job on that.
So maybe Monday, maybe the week before, we discussed, is Lowell a sanctuary city? This producer seems to think it is, but
What are the people down at the UMass Indian Conference Center?
what about them?
Do they have any visas to work here? How do they enter the country?
The President Biden flew them in,
On Air Force One. Wow.
not on Air Force One.
And how did he convince immigration to look the other way at the airport?
Probably Kraft.
How did he tell immigration and customs to look the other way at the airport.
Yeah.
So we're a sanctuary city.
Well, then, how are we different from real sanctuary cities? Like Lawrence?
Well, it'll be interesting to see if when Trump gets sworn in as president, when they arrest the governor of Massachusetts, if they'll have it on Boston TV, or whether they'll just choose not to cover that. She's gonna get arrested.
No, they're gonna arrest the mayor of Chicago.
They're gonna arrest the governor of the state.
We're not a sanctuary state.
She's telling, the governor has already told the state police, look the other way.
Okay,
You had not heard that?
I'd heard that.
Okay. So that makes us a sanctuary state.
I don't-
Weren't we defined as a sanctuary state last year? You know, when they put up all the
Fred,
hotels,
we are
and they
such
took
a
the
screwed up
hotels
state.
across the state?
I mean, my friends that got here legally, sweated out everything to become a real citizen, are disgusted with Massachusetts. Disgusted.
I'm not denying that.
So,
By
I'm
any
like,
means of the imagination, my parents had to go through the hoops in order to enter the United States of
The
America.
climate
in
down at the State House
1956.
is, just a second, let me shut off my hearing aids. Would you repeat that now that I have my hearing aids shut off? That's the State House's attitude.
does Lowell Public or Greater Lowell Technical have policies with regard to children who are illegal immigrants?
If you qualify to get into our school, we will take you in.
Okay?
Therefore, no, we must take in the migrants, as well as every student that sits in the city of Lowell that
How's that-
chooses to come to our city.
How's that working out?
School.
Are the students doing well? Are they working hard? I would assume that being migrants, that their parents are pushing them to work hard.
Yes. I mean, a lot of the, listen, I don't know the numbers, statistics on what's happening with the migrants that have come into Lowell in the past year. But I do know that I ran a convenience store many years ago, and I was a very large Western Union agent. And I had a lot of immigrants come to my shop, and at the end of the day, they were on work visas, and they were trying to become citizens and so on and so forth. They had children, and they sent their children to school. And ultimately, their children proved to be fruitful for themselves, for our community. So do I feel the immigrant students are paying attention and trying to grow within their education? From me being a Western Union agent who did 1,000 transactions a month, I feel like they are. As a matter of fact, I just was over getting my sticker on Middlesex for my vehicle on Middlesex Street the other day, and a woman recognized me. Her name was Abina, and we were chatting, and I said, "Oh, by the way, how are your children?" And she informed me both of them graduated Lowell High School. One entered Latin Lyceum, one was in the AP program, and the daughter graduated from Brown University, and the son graduated from another Ivy League school, and I forget which one it was, but I was taken aback in the sense that they found the American dream. And they were in the Windsor shop, wiring $200 to their family weekly or monthly in order to get them food and water and whatever it is that they needed over in Kenya, and this woman happened to be in Ghana, or Liberia, where Fru was from Cameroon.
Yep.
Fru would be wiring his money to Cameroon, and so on and so forth. So they've proven to be, from when I was a Western Union agent, a very fruitful society.
Well, that's good news.
But I don't know what it looks like today.
Yeah.
Because I don't have the studies on that. And again, I was on the ground floor, right? And has to be, there's a lot of value in that. Because when you're in administration, when you're on the school committee, a lot of that information isn't shared.
Question to you, Fred, is what was the original estimate of the new high school? You can't know everything. If you don't know, that's okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay,
I
page 2.
believe it was in the
Quarter of a
400,
I thought it was $250 million, $250 million.
Okay, and I'm not
Yeah.
sure. I think, when we started this conversation after Newton North was built, if I remember correctly, and that one, went for over $600 million.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the original estimate was.
When you have had an open border for the past 4 years, of course terrorism is a major issue. Thank you for your comments. We have 3 minutes left, kids.
Okay.
Fred, it's your mic. Anything you want to tell the audience?
Sure. I mean, realistically, we have a great public school system in the city of Lowell, Mass. Sure, there are holes in it, but I urge parents and people that are watching and friends to have them give Lowell Public Schools a strong look. Lowell Public Schools I'm a product of it. All my family, my successful family is a product of it. People that have gone through Lowell Public Schools have ended up with great paying jobs and have proven to be very successful. Moving forward into the 2000s, our graduation rate has been reduced, unfortunately. However, the growth potential is great. And I love to ask the question to budding college students or college students after they're in their first or second semester, did Lowell schools, did Greater Lowell Tech prepare you for college? And for the most part, I get a yes. So, and I'm not sure that if, you could get the same questions answered from a local private school or a local charter school. But I think those are the questions to ask. When I do go to the churches, I do ask some of the kids that go to other schools other than Lowell, that they're happy with it, and they frequently balk and say, geez, I wish I went to a different high school. So I just urge people to give Lowell Public Schools a strong consideration because we offer outstanding education opportunities as well as athletics, as well as clubs, as well as a true social experience.
Well, that's a good pitch for Lowell schools.
Sure, it includes Greater Lowell.
Of course, you're running for school committee this year, right?
I plan on it, yes. I plan on it.
Do you have to run for both at the same time?
No, Greater Lowell will be in 2 years. Greater Lowell is on the state ballot, and the city of Lowell, of course, is on the
office.
the municipal ballot.
Yeah, so we have to get people out to vote.
Say goodbye, boys.
Great being on the show. Happy New Year. Hope to see you soon. And yes, get out and vote and discuss with other people to go out and exercise their right. It's vital.
See you next time.